Okay, let's introduce our final talk in this room. This is Danny Oka. Danny is a tech lead at Qlik on their Qlik Answers platform. His favorite part of coding is finding and building tools that speed up his workflows. He's taught coding boot camps and enjoys mentoring new developers trying to land their first gig. Outside of coding, Danny loves playing tennis and has recently gotten into pickleball, spending time with his wife and 4 kids, smoking meat, and making pizzas. Danny's talk is titled Dev Tools to Increase Your Speed That Don't Use AI. Please welcome Danny Oka.
It's great to be with you today. It's a pretty intimidating audience here, especially after my Kahoot score there. My confidence level just kept going down and down and down as everyone else's scores kept going up. Yes, as mentioned, my talk today is entitled Tools to Speed Up Your Development That Don't Use AI. Figured it was going to be a big theme. Right now we hear about AI all the time, but as I introduce myself, I'm Danny Oka, and I build AI products. So even though I'm sick of hearing about them sometimes, that's still how we all pay the bills here. I wanted to give a quick note about just this community here. This doesn't really deal with much of the subject matter, but I have a couple stories about my time here and experiencing Utah.js and what motivated me to want to speak today. Let's see. First story, my first time I came to Utah JavaScript, I was sitting at lunch. It was the networking was kind of the theme, like reboot your network. I think this was maybe 2021. And I was sitting at a lunch table. It was my first interaction with this community here in Utah. And as I was sitting with a couple coworkers, and then some chatty, very nice man came down and sat next to me, started telling us, very cordial, introducing himself, what he was working on. And I was like, who is this guy? He's real nice, but I don't know, go away, man. Anyways, a couple weeks later, we start working at my work. We start to look into some new technologies that we're going to build our products with, and we are starting to look into a technology called React Query. And as I started to look into it, and you see all the tan stack browsing, marketing and branding, I thought, hey, wait, I just met this guy. He just sat down, and it was Tanner Lindsley, very nice guy. And I think that's what I appreciate so much about the Utah JavaScript community, is that there are literal giants here, not literal, figurative giants, in the coding community. My company is not a Utah-based company that knows Tanner Lindsley and TanStack. My company is based out of Pennsylvania. It originated in Sweden. So some of the people that you'll rub shoulders with here in this community are really incredible and have a lot to offer. The second quick story here. I have worked with a lot of new developers in helping them get their first gig. And one of my recommendations is always, hey, you got to join the Utah JavaScript group, even if they're not in Utah. I think this is just a great place to work. And I can say that like with with firsthand experience, because the job that I'm working at right now, I actually found through networking on the Utah JavaScript Slack workspace here. So I just wanted to share my appreciation. And for those that aren't aware, this is an awesome community to be a part of. Okay, yes, absolutely. So give me a hand here. The talk Clint Goodman gave a couple minutes ago here actually deals a lot with what I work on a day-to-day basis using vector embeddings, RAG pipelines, agentic workflows. But we're not here to talk about that today. Also, another side note, I got a little bit self-conscious because I saw on LinkedIn a fellow by the name of Steve Kaiser that I follow. He commented about how he's here at Utah JavaScript today, and whenever somebody shares their screen, he always looks at their bookmarks on their web browsers. And lucky for me, even before he said that, I am always terrified I'm going to have something embarrassing on my browsers or bookmarks or something like that. So as a habit, I just don't use bookmarks anymore. Okay, I didn't want to pay for Kahoot today to get more than 50 people or 3 people to be able to participate in a poll here, but I wanted to get your input, so go ahead and join this. This is Slido, integrated nicely into my Google Slides presentation here. But I'm talking about dev tools today. and I wanted to get a little bit of polling about what IDE or text editor most people are using here. And okay, I was like, wow, everyone here uses VS Code, but that was because that only was registering 2 people so far. As it goes, so we get a few more here. We can kind of see the trend here that most developers are using VS Code. There's a few IntelliJ others. I'm curious, those that are using something other than what is up here, shout it out what you're using. If you Cursor, right? Something AI based. What else? Okay. Sublime Text not getting a lot of love. IntelliJ. Okay. Well, there we go. I wanted to put Notepad++ in here. Thought we might move past that, or Xcode, heaven forbid, if you're a Swift developer or something like that. Okay. And then the next poll question is, do you use hotkeys and keyboard shortcuts? And we've kind of got a range of here. And this one I'm also interested in here. I worked with a developer that was new that actually, I shouldn't say this, hopefully nobody, most everyone here knows Control or Command S to save, we save our files like a bajillion times a day. But I worked with a developer that literally clicked the mouse and I was like, oh, it's gonna be rough for you. Okay, but I like it. We've got a good mix here. I would imagine that we're all kind of in the same boat of, some things I can do, I can navigate around a little bit. Very interesting. Thank you for that. Today I'm going to try to introduce some tools that really try to maximize your speed there. So the plan for today, I'm going to talk about the mindset of a programmer who's all about that Ricky Bobby speed. I want to discuss some of the tools that are available that can really cover most of a developer's, the aspects of a developer's day, whether we're talking about actually writing code, testing code, making HTTP requests, like a Postman replacement, like your Git utilities. And then after that, we'll get into a live demo that I'm horribly nervous for. Okay, another story here. I like sharing stories. So this is my first coding job, and I was pretty new. When you're coding on your own, starting to learn, you don't necessarily commit, do a lot of Git integration, source code, source control things. You're just coding on your own, just to learn. But when you work in an organization, yeah, you've got to have your code versioned, checked into source code, and all that stuff. And so I was using, git add dot, all the tools on the terminal. And then I, of course, forgot to hit that -m, that darn -m, to get my commit message right there in line, and it opens me up into a Vim buffer. And we all heard the joke, if you want to write a secure password, what do? Just get the output of somebody trying to escape, to exit out of a Vim buffer. So I, called the paramedics over, got a senior developer to come show me, okay, here you go. Don't ask why, but it's :WQ. And I was like, what is this? This is so stupid. Why would anybody want to use this? And he explained to me that there is a mindset within developers that any time that you have to take your hands off the keyboard, even so much as the home row, you're wasting time. That's time that you could be coding. If you feel like that is your bottleneck, the idea is that Vim is made so you can do everything from the keyboard. As I thought about that, it kind of sank into my mind like Leo DiCaprio jumping down to the 3rd level of my recesses and planting an idea in my mind that I just couldn't get out. And so I thought, is that really possible? The answer is absolutely. And the next question is it worth it? The answer is, maybe. I was actually curious because I'm kind of a self-deprecating guy. I thought, maybe the investment wasn't really worth it. But I noticed that there are certain tasks that it can be a little bit quicker for. And so I thought, well, let's ask the all-knowing ChatGPT. So I asked the question, how much time would a developer save over his career using only terminal-based tools for development and thus never needing to touch the mouse? And it gave me quite some lofty, metrics here. That if you, based on a career of 40 years, skipping all the good stuff here, it anticipates roughly 3 to 9 months worth of work time across a 40-year career. That's a pretty awesome, large estimate. It's probably somewhere smaller in between, but I thought that was kind of cool, whether or not it's true. But I have noticed the savings of time, and I think just feeling that speed and confidence in being able to move quickly is something that developers kind of value. This mindset does require a significant investment of time. We've all had this experience where we spend 10 hours to write some code to automate some process that if you would have just done it manually, it would have taken you about 10 minutes. I always do that like when I'm working on a spreadsheet for my wife or something like that. I'm like, no, I can write some Python code here that can go in and manipulate this. And she's like, just go and just split the names first and last. Like, don't be stupid. But that's what we do as developers. If we didn't like this kind of project, we wouldn't be here, right? Okay. And so once you get to the, to the point where you're pretty comfortable doing every part of your day-to-day task on the keyboard, anything where you have to use a mouse, you start to feel like a young Elijah Wood in Back to the Future 2, watching, Marty McFly play that shooting game. I don't remember the name of it. Wild Gunman? There it is, thank you. I knew this was the right audience where I would get somebody that would know. You use the mouse? That's like a baby's toy. Okay, so I've got just kind of a breakdown of some of the popular, or the tasks that you'll end up working on as developers, writing code, managing your projects, and then like testing that code. And I've got these listed out, and it'll be on the slide at the end with links to all of the, to all the resources. So if you miss this, don't worry, it'll be available with links. But I want to kind of go through and show what it looks like. So I've got a couple things to showcase what we can do here. So the crux of most of this is really going to be a new version of Vim called Neovim. So shout out to my Neovim developers. Who's using Neovim in here? There are maybe 5 or 6 of us. So we'll all meet up in the parking lot after and talk about how much better we are than everyone else. Okay. So so rather than using Ghost, so one of the first things that I wanted to showcase real quick is I had this habit when I worked in VS Code of if I was working on multiple projects at a time, how is it that we navigate through them? And I will show you how I did it. It was this magic motion here. And I would have to search through the screen to figure out which project I'm working on, which is miserable. But if you're using something like Tmux, which is an in-terminal utility, it's a terminal multiplexer, you can manage all your projects as long as they're within the terminal here, and you can give them all names to just navigate through them here. So I've got a very simple application. It's got a front end, it's got an API, it's got a worker, and it's actually like running on a Docker desktop Kubernetes cluster on my machine here. I'm using Scaffold to kind of accelerate the continuous development process here. That's not so much part of the subject matter here. But I want to showcase is working through multiple distributed services, editing text, and then testing APIs, all using, not even leaving Ghosty here, my personal terminal of choice. As I've tried the different terminals, Alacrity, iTerm, they're all the same. I don't really notice that much difference, but Ghosty is what I've landed on here. So I'm going to start off with some front-end code, and I've got a very, very beautiful front end here, which I think, yeah, this is the extent of my front-end development skills these days. But so some of the cool things that when you start working in Vim, a common task might be to change the body inside an HTML tag here. or JSX. So a non-Vim workflow might be to highlight this and then delete and then change that out. If I'm doing it in Vimway, and I've got my Keystroke Pro showing at the top there so you can see what I'm using. Vim uses what's called motions, so it really kind of mimics the way that you think. So if I want to change the text inside of this HTML tag, I'm going to do a C, which means change, I, everything inside of it, and T for tag. And so that deletes it all and then puts me in insert mode. And then I can go ahead and write that. And I'm going to escape, :W, and then my change is reflected there pretty quick. OK, I had some notes here on what I wanted to do, so I changed the word. And if I just want to change the word itself, I can just do a CIW. Sorry, I went quickly there. CIW means change in word. I demoed this for my sister last night, and I changed it to goodbye world, and she's like, well, that's kind of dark. Like, OK. So next thing that we might want to do is, well, what if this goodbye world is going to be in conditional logic here? Well, OK, so right now, it's just inside the tags here. But if I want to switch it to some conditional logic, the first thing I need to do is I need to wrap it in quotes. So Vim gives us a way to do that. I'm going to wrap YSIT, which means wrap inside the tags, wrap surrounding inside the tags, even though it's Y. And I go ahead and add my quotes there. So that keeps me, again, from moving my cursor side to side. Before, I would have had to go right, all that good stuff there. And then let's go ahead and take it the next step. Let's go ahead and wrap inside the tags, or I can go around the quotes and put some curly braces there. So I will go YSIT and put in my curly braces. And then I can go ahead and then add my logic. And then, all right, so just like that, I've done some wrapping around some text. Let's say I need to go ahead and change these surrounding quotes from double quotes to single quotes. I can do a change surrounding quotes to single quotes, just a couple keystrokes there. And then, let's see. The last thing that I want to demonstrate here as a cool little Vim feature is what if I want to change the surrounding HTML tags? Vim recognizes anything that you would wrap text in, whether it's quotes, whether it's curly braces, angle brackets, square braces, and HTML tags. So if I want to change these surrounding tags, I do a CST. And then if you're noticing prompting at the bottom left there, it tells me, well, which HTML tag do you want it to change it to? And I can change it to a div, and Bob's your uncle. My grid is now a div tag. OK. So that was some of what I want to demonstrate in some front-end code, HTML, and some basic Neovim capabilities there. I'm going to jump over to some back-end code now. My front-end code is running locally here. I'll go ahead and stop this server. But the rest of the code is running, as I mentioned, like it's running in a Kubernetes cluster that's right on my machine. This is another chance to showcase another awesome terminal tool called K9s. If you, like me, are tired of remembering every single kubectl command, K9s is for you. Especially if you're working, if you need to check logs of a pod. Easy, you can just navigate to it. If I need to port forward, which I do, I just go ahead and I select my pod, and a Shift F forwards that to my local machine there. So again, we're saving a lot of time and a lot of effort by not using the kubectl commands, or heaven forbid, if you're using something like Argo CD to go and pour out your logs. This is going to save you a lot of time, keep you in the developer state. So let's go ahead. I'll keep trying to move along here quickly. In my API code, this is another utility that exists within Neovim. It's a file explorer called Oil. And what oil does for you is it makes it so your file tree, you can view it and edit it just like you were editing a document, editing a body of text or a Vim buffer here. So if for some reason I want to copy over all my source code, well, how do I copy a line in Vim? It's a YY, and then I can hit P for put or for paste, whatever you choose to think of it. And if I do a :W, it's going to ask me, well, do you want to change all of that? I must have done something wrong there. But I can do that with files pretty easy too. Just a YYP. And then, oh, it didn't like that I didn't change the name. And just like that, I've copied my index file. It keeps you, again, all in the same state of mind here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is a very simple API where I am serving, it's connected to a Mongo database and a Redis queue. I've got a worker process that after I add a new item, which just takes in a name, the worker's going to pick that up, patch that, and then put it back into the database there. Nothing too fancy. But I've got this items router. One thing that I want to note, I was talking to a coworker the other day about trying Vim, and he said, oh, I tried it out. I think it was like a Vim golf program, where the idea, has anyone ever tried one of those, where the idea is to try to accomplish a Vim task and use as few keys as you can, keystrokes as possible. And I think that's taking it a little bit far, where you're trying to force yourself into one way. Or there's other tools that, for those that don't know, the idea of Vim is that you're using HJKL to navigate, and you can find ways to disable the arrow keys. I think that's a little extreme. I don't want to make somebody not have an escape hatch here. Or, for instance, one of the beauties of Vim is if I need to do something 5 times, I can hit 5 and then navigate up, and it'll jump me up 5 lines here. And you still want to be able to code like you think here. And I don't count lines above myself personally. I just, I hit K and J a whole bunch. But OK, let's go through the process. Let's go ahead and add another route here. I will use oil here, and we'll go ahead and add another route. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some Vim search, find, and replace, and swap out everything item here, and rename it notes. And we'll go ahead and use the global, because there are a couple places where we're using it twice in a line. I know that there is a Vim regex to make it so it's case insensitive. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the lowercase and the uppercase. OK, so this logic, if I were to look a little bit closely, I'm probably missing something. But for the most part, it looks like I've just gone ahead and copied that and then retrofit it for my notes. I'll go ahead and open up a split here. That's another quick little Vim tool. And then let's go ahead and create a second queue, my note queue. And let's go ahead and import my new router here. OK. And then last but not least, let's go ahead and use that new router. All right, and then I'll go ahead and jump over to my K9s. What Scaffold is doing behind the scenes here is every time that it detects changes within my source code of my, of my applications that are working on the deployment, it's going and restarting them and then pushing those up to the cluster, rebuilding them. So after that, I'll go ahead and showcase. Let's see. So my new router should be there. And then I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the last capability here before I start to wrap this up. If you don't like using Postman, find it too bulky, or it's always prompting you to sign up for a workspace or something like that, there is a more minimalistic utility called rest.nvim that uses HTTP files where I can form my requests. And again, I said that I was going to forget to port forward. I caught myself. I'm very proud of myself today. Go ahead and port forward my API locally. And then let's go ahead and try to run a request. And I can see I've already got some data in my database here. I'm running that GET request. Let's go ahead and add another one to, let's go ahead and add another. So I'm hitting with another REST request. It's going through. And then if I go and try to hit a GET request, I actually already had sample notes, and I forgot to clear out my database. So that's why there's already data populating here. So the route, kind of already worked. And I'll go ahead and hit it with another request. Again, this keeps us all in the same program, fingers on the keys, not needing to use the mouse to go out and use other programs, keeps us in that developer workflow. OK. Let me check the notes here. Port forwarding. OK. So that's the idea, and I hope you got a feel for the workflow and what's possible, how you can easily fulfill everything within your dev workflow, utilizing terminal-based tools. So the question is then, how would I start if I were to start over? I would say start off by saying utilize the tools that are already available. If you use the Launchpad or you use your four-finger swipes or the start menu, I would start to use something like Raycast or Spotlight or like Control or Command Tab to shift between open applications. Second tip I would give, don't force it, do what feels natural. I also would recommend, if you want to give it a try, there is a Vim mode within VS Code. Give that a try and see how you like it. There's a lot of, there's lots of tutorials available on how to get familiarized with Vim motions. And if you want to give it a full-on jump into Neovim, I'd start off with a pre-made distro. There are plenty that have sensible, sensible settings and configurations that can help you get started without having to tinker with your own, with your own distro and manage all the dependencies there. Okay, I've attached some links and resources here. Feel free to snap the photo. This will get you a copy of the slides, and then all the resources should be there. Thanks everyone for your time today, and we'll see you next year.